you start out scraping from the website for data, and then from there you perform some analysis and then you write an article on it. So that's what stage B is really about. So I'm going to walk you through how you can scrape websites for data. Okay, give me a minute, let me share my screen. Please confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, can you see this books to scrape page I'm currently on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So this is what we're going to do. This is the website we're going to be scraping. Has about 1,000 results, and we're going to be trying to get some of the details from this page. So first, let's try and understand what web scraping is really about. So web scraping is the process of using automation tools to retrieve data from websites. So like any tool, so there are a couple of scrapers that exist. There are some that's like customized scrapers, right? So they are no code kind of scrapers. So the code has already been written. You just need to figure out how to use it and then set the website you want to scrape and you can go ahead. So the automation tools are like of different forms. You can actually like be working with programming languages like we're going to be doing. We're working with Python. Python is a popular language for scraping data from websites. Or you can be working with a custom scraper that someone else has already designed. Some of these generative AI models available are very good at scraping data. So not very good, but then they provide a very good template for you to start out with, right? So that's like how easy and how simple it can be to scrape data from a website as long as the website is structured. So what are some business use cases for like web scraping? So let's say that you have a product, you have maybe let's say you're into you have a you're selling food online, right? You're selling food stuff online and you want to get like, okay, you're not the first person in this market, obviously. You want to break into the market and you want to understand what the market generally is like, right? So you have some other person, you have a competitor that has a website. You don't want to go there and be like, okay, so what is the price of this item? And then you go and search the website. That's a lot of manual work. You can easily just scrape it, put it in an Excel sheet and just perform some analysis on it. And let's say you want to have a look at industry trends, right? So similar situation with the competitor pricing analysis, right? So whatever industry you're in, you want to get a sense of where the industry is headed, maybe from the news, maybe from specific websites. Those are some of the things we use web scraping for. Let's say you want to get a sense of like customer reviews from various social media sites, right? So that's one thing we can use web scraping for. So let's talk about the Harmony internship, right? Let's say we want to get a sense of, okay, what are our interns saying about our internship in places like Twitter or Facebook, Reddit, maybe. So those are some of the things, those are some of the tools, right? Those are some of the use cases rather that we have for web scraping. And then product price monitoring, right? So you want to compare prices just like airlines do, right? So where you have travel blogs that tend to give you, okay, comparison of different like airline prices so that you get the one that favors you the most. That's one use case of web scraping. And then news aggregation, right? You want to analyze news that has been reported, analyze the text, maybe summarize, do some summaries on them. You want to use a language model or whatever use case you have, right? Those are some of the reasons that you might be interested in scraping data. That data is not publicly available. Okay, not publicly available per se, but like it's not readily available, right? So you can't find it on Cargo, you can't find it on some of the sites that we typically get data from. So it falls on you to go ahead and do the scraping that you need. So what are some Python libraries that we use for web scraping? Basically, we use request and we use Beautiful Soup. These are common libraries, but this is not everything. Like this is not an exhaustive list, right? So these are just like the two very popular libraries for anyone who's starting out. This is typically what you start out with. And so we'll go ahead and have our use case, have our example. I'm going to just basically do a live demo here. This is the website we want to scrape, like I said, contains a list of books. If we open this link, we get more details. So this is it. So we're going to try and scrape the title, the pricing, probably the ratings as well, and some other details here. The price. Okay, we're already scraping the price. Or we can get the price excluding tax, including tax, and all of this, right? So that's what we're going to be doing for this class. So first we need to import I decided to use a Jupyter notebook today, since I'm always using Colab, so I can cover for people that tend to prefer Jupyter notebook. So you install, so the request library doesn't come with Python. So you have to install it. And then you also have to install Beautiful Soup. But I think I already have these things available. I already have these things available, so it's not going to be installed. I already have request, I already have PS4. Okay, I don't. Okay. So but I already have requests. That's where requirement satisfied. Then PS4. PS4 is where we're going to be importing BT. Is the library for Beautiful Soup. So let me just quickly take you to the documentation. Beautiful Soup for read the docs, right? Like I always say, it's very important to whenever you want to work with a library that you're not familiar with. That's why the documentation is there. Beautiful Soup and then request as well. So you can literally just perform a search for whatever you're looking for. You can use the quick starts to get sense of direction for what you want to do. Okay. So now we'll import the libraries that we need. Okay. So I would also like to import pandas because at some point we will need pandas. Okay, so go ahead and okay. So what pandas is getting installed, let me just quickly take us through. what we want to do next. So we want to, first things first, we want to download the HTML content. So basically, websites are made up of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Those are typically the things that are used to build the websites that we see, at least the front end of the websites, right? What we get to interact with in our browsers. So what the request library does is that it's oh, my network is pretty bad. This is running at 0.1. Okay, what the request library does is that it allows us to download the HTML content. Okay, so we can download what we see here. Yeah, allows us to download the HTML, how this, the way it is written as code, the HTML code, right, that generates this, that now gets displayed and formatted beautifully as this. It allows us to download what is responsible for this, which is like the HTML code. Okay, so that's what we will be doing. Okay. I don't think I want us to wait for this. So I will just comment this out for now. Let's just get started with scraping this. Let's not waste any more time. Okay, so moving on, let's go ahead and try to download the content. So yes, I talked about how we can download HTML content from web pages with requests. And then one other thing you need to know is that whenever like you get on your browser and you insert a website, the link to a website that you want to access, there are several HTTP methods that are involved with client server requests, like us trying to access resources on the internet, right? So we have the get, we have the post, put, and delete, right? So these are like this is also not an exhaustive list, right? So there are more, but this is what I'll focus on. And request library has methods that covers all of this. So getting like is when we make a get request when like we want to access a web page, right? So we're making a get request to the server. So like whatever is hosting this resource, we're making a get request to it. A post request typically like when we have a form and we fill in details and want to submit that form, we're making like sending details over, sending information over to sending data right over to the server. And the put as well is similar to the post. Delete, you want to probably like delete a resource on the server. But with requests, with web scraping and with APIs, we'll talk about APIs in another class, accessing data through APIs. Delete requests are typically not allowed for people that is restricted, right? It's basically restricted. So if you try to send a delete request, you're probably going to get an error. So, and that also leads me to talk about some of the HTTP responses, right? Response codes. So you have, I know some of you are already familiar with the 404 not found. So when you try to access a resource and then it's not there, right? So you're going to get a 404 response. And then there are other responses as well. The one that signifies success is the 200 response code. That one lets us know that, okay, your request, whatever it has been successful, right? So there are some other response codes. You can get to know more about it in your study time. Okay, so let's do this. So I want to download this web page first and foremost. That's the first step. So I'm going to set it to a variable, call it R. Okay. Then I'm going to access, there's an attribute. What this gives me is a response object, right? So let's go to request. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's confirm that you can still hear me clearly, because I just want to be certain that my network is not affecting this. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So yeah, this request and response object. So whenever you make a call with request, right? So you get a response object, and then you can access certain attributes from that response object. That response object is basically what we're going to be working with. So like I said, come to the documentation if you want to know more about the methods you're working with. So first, we want to understand status of the request that we just made. And we do that by accessing the status code attribute, right? From our response object. And we see 200, which lets us know that, okay, whatever you were trying to access, whatever you were trying to download has been successful. So let's go ahead and inspect what we have. And then we see the HTML code for it, right? So the HTML code for that website, this is what we have. So now we have our HTML content downloaded. This is all it takes. Now, the next part is basically how do we go ahead with passing. Okay. All right. So
We can't hear you again now. We can't see your screen.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Well, you can't see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so are we good now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So so now we've used beautiful soup, right? This is just going to help us pass the text, the HTML text that we just downloaded. Basically, we want to be able to access the different tags within the HTML code, and we want to be able to access the different text, like all the text that are contained in the way it is not very useful to us. The way it was when we ran this, not very useful, doesn't have a lot of structure that we can work with. But with Beautiful Soup, we'll be able to, it breaks it down into like um a structure that you can work with, right? There are different objects. You can work with strings, navigable strings. You can work with tags, right? So it allows us to separate all the HTML tags for HTML elements for us to work with, right? So we can access elements, we can access attributes of the various elements. So that is one thing about Beautiful Soup. So let's go ahead and see what we have. It has a method called text that just allows us, you see the difference now. We have the whole, there's no HTML tag here. It's just looking, we just have what's readable, human readable text, right? That's what we have now. It's no longer like with all of those tags. So, but this doesn't work, right? We want to be able to pull out the various, all of this. So one thing you need to know about web scripts is that you're going to be going back and forth from wherever you're working from and the website you're trying to script, because you're going to like be trying to get an understanding of how things are positioned, how things are structured, and all of that. So to do that, we're going to inspect elements, right? Okay. So now, yeah, first thing I want us to do is I want us to, the details of these books, right? I would have said, let's go ahead and scrape it from here. But the details of these books are contained in the links that you can see here, right? So let's go ahead and get those links and download the content from there. All right. So first things first, we're going to be trying to get all the links for all the books on this website, right? So we want to get all the links for all the books on this website. And one way to do that is to come here and try to inspect, and it will lead us to, let me drag this up a bit. It lead us to the HTML elements, right? So we can inspect that. This is a bit first. Okay, I need to go back. So we're back to the page we want to start about it. So like I said, we want to get, first things first, we want to get the links of everything here. So we're going to come here. If we do inspect elements, it should take us to where we'll find that link. And the way it works, like I said, you can access all of these tags. These tags are like you have parents, the tags, HTML tags tend to have like a parent-child relationship. The way that Beautiful Soup processes it, right? Processes it in a tree, passes it like in a tree form, right? So there are parents, there's the roots, there's the parents, there are their siblings, their children, all of those things. So like here now we have, if I close this up, you see that this is like enclosing everything. So this is like, you can call this the overall parent if you want, right? So basically all of the other tags are like contained in this. So Beautiful Soup recognizing this allows us to be able to access children or siblings. That's to say, siblings tend to be like tags that are on the same level, right? Children are more of tags that are contained within. So like this one's now, you would call body a child of this, right? You would call this and this. You would call, let's see. Yes, you would call these two tags siblings, right? So that is the way it works. I hope you can see my screen clearly. Okay, so back to what we're trying to scrape. So I said that because I wanted us to, as it is now, and I'd like us to get to the very root of this. And then we see that, okay, this list element contains most of the books, right? Is what contains the books. So if we delve deeper into this, we can also see there's another element contained in it called article, right? Which has a class products pod, and then has other elements inside of it. But what we really want is this, okay? What we want is this. We can't just, there are different ways to approach scraping data, right? Let's go to Beautiful Soup documentation so that I can show you. Yes. So this is what I was talking about, navigating the tree and then going down and then, let's see, searching the tree. Different kinds of filters that we can use. We can decide to use a string as we're looking for the actual content itself. We can decide to use tags, can decide to use regular expression, can decide to use a list. So there are different okay, those are the lists. Those are the ones that are available. There are different like filters that we can pass into Beautiful Soup, into the methods available in Beautiful Soup that will allow us to filter for the contents that we want. So the parent element, the element containing the link that we want here is the A tag. The parent element here is H3. So we're going to be using the tag in this case. Let's see what happens if we try to scrape this data, right? By saying soup has a method called find that allows you to find the tags that you want. Let's see what happens if we say soup.find. Then let's do, because the way this gives us the HTML, this gives us the tag itself, which is like a subset of the HTML code, right? That tag so contains all of the structure, right, as you would typically see in your HTML file. But then we want the text part alone, so we can do that. Okay, yeah, should be. And then we see books to scrape. That's not what we are looking for. We are looking for this link. We are not looking for any words, books to scrape. So how do we get this one? That's because there are lots of A tags here. We have to filter. So we have to, we can either, we need to use some form of filter, right? So we can either try to look for the attributes. So we have these things here where we have, these are like attributes, href, equal to this, title equal to this. These are what we call the attributes. Can decide to do this. But then if you look at these attributes, this like I said, this process is a core part of web scraping. You're going to be going back and forth trying to find what you want to use to scrape. If we decide to look at these attributes, right, you see that we have a title. This title is basically the title here. We want something that is, remember, the process is supposed to be automated. You don't want to come every time and be typing in, okay, let's use title, a light in the attic. This will differentiate this A tag. That's not, we don't want to do that. Okay. So because that just means that that's what we'll be doing for the rest of them. So what we want to do, we want to find something that is common, that would be common to all of them. And then we can now drill down from there. So let's go up a bit and look at article, class, product, prod. Let's take another example. Look at this class, product, prod. A random one. And we see this. So we can use this. We can use article, and then we can use the class, which distinguishes it, right? So let's use that. How is it? It's in product prod, okay, underscore. Product pod rather. Okay, so one thing I want to point out is that the class here, right? One of the attributes is actually class, right? This is the attribute, and you want to use the attributes the way it is. In the case of class, class is a keyword in Python, right? So we don't use class the way it is. Beautiful Soup understands that class is a keyword in Python, and so it tells us to use class with an underscore here to differentiate it from the keyword in Python. So that's what we're doing here. So if we do this, okay, let's see what mistake we have made. Okay, let's go back up. Okay. Um, I'm trying to understand what's going on. If we made a mistake at some point, let's see. Okay, so the link we are using is not the link we should be using. This is the link we want to be using. So that link was for a specific website. So I'll do that. So now we have, I've introduced a new method, right? The find all. So the difference between find and find all, let me show you. I'm just going to copy this. Is that find will give us the very first, so the very first tag that it identifies that matches this, right? That satisfies this requirement. That's the very first tag that it sees in that our HTML tree, right? So is what it will give us. But find all is literally going to pull out everything. Okay, so everything on that web page is going to get it for us. So we're going to go ahead and use the find all because that's what we want to do. We literally just want to get everything and then go ahead and apply all that we want to do to it. So now that we've been able to access the product pod, let's go ahead and access. Remember, our goal was to access this, right? So let's remember it's like a tree. So it allows us to drill down and apply some more methods. So let me show you. Let me show you what I mean. So now this gives us a list. Like I said, see the starting points here, a list. And you know that if you want to work with everything, all the elements inside the list, you typically use a for loop, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So let's just save this. Let's just assign this to a variable. Let's call it products. So now let's loop through products. So now this is a tag element, which means that you can do further processing on it. You can still use these methods like the find all and the find method. So find all and use methods like that on it just to drill down. So that's what we're going to be doing. The next element we want to find, because this is like a parent, article is like a parent element. So we're going to be trying to find the A tag, and we want to pick this. So let's simply say for products in this, let's get the text. I'm not sure if that has text. Let's see. Yeah, it does. So let's just focus on getting the text for now and see what we have. Okay. Okay. So I'll explain what's happening. It's getting the very first one, very first A tag, which does not have. So this is where the text, when you call the text attribute, this is what you want to pick out. So it doesn't contain anything. So it's not going to pick that out. So let's try to get there was another there was another one that we saw here, right? So this is the one that contains the title. So we want to access this. How do we go ahead and access this? Let's use this. Let's use the parent tag above it to identify it. That's what we're going to do, H3. So we'll use H3, drill down some more to A and see what we have. So we see all of our elements, right? Okay. Another thing that we can do is instead of like what I did before, find and all of that, we can do this, right? So we just directly access the tag element in this. But then, of course, like you saw before, we had an error. We had a case of, no text for none, right? So that can happen if this tag is not available under this. So when you do this type of thing, you want to be careful. You want to include try or except blocks, right? So that you handle errors. Try or except, maybe we just pass, right? So we can pass is not recommended. Do like actually do something, handle it properly. But I won't be doing this because I want us to see our errors and deal with them. So we've been able to get the text, but that's not what we want. We want to get the okay, let's see. This gives us the very first A tag gives us the link that we want, right? So I'm just going to go here and confirm for the rest of the elements. Don't have to confirm for everything, just need to just confirm that there's a pattern to it, right? So now I don't want to drill down, I want to reduce what we are working with, right? So let's say find A, and then let's say get. Now, what do we have here? We've been able to get the attributes, the content of the attribute. This gets, remember this part is going to give us the element tag. Now, when you apply this get method on this tag object, right? You're asking it, oh, there's an attribute that this tag object has called href, right? Give me the value of that attribute. So you come here and you see, okay, so this is the A tag, these are the attributes that are available, and then this is what we get, right? So that's what we have. So I'll take this out so that we have something that is much cleaner. And then we have about how many of this? I could just put this in a list, right? So let's put this in a list. I'm thinking of a name for our list. Okay, links, let's call it links. And then we're just going to say this for products in products. So if we print our links, okay, this is what we have. So what I did here is basically list comprehension. So I'm sure you learned about it when you did your introduction to Python course, the prerequisites, right? But if you didn't, you can always go to W3 schools and take a look at it. So it just reduces everything, simplifies stuff for us, right? Makes it more Pythonic. So we have our various links here. The next thing that we want to do is these are URLs, right? So we are going to need to make requests to those URLs, right? But the way that this is, right, it's not a complete link. If I put this in my browser, what's going to, yeah, it's not a complete link. So we're going to need to do like some transformations ourselves. So we know that this is the website itself. So let's go ahead and do something here. Copy this out. This is so now we have this. Okay. So we have this page available to us, and this is what we want to do. So time is not on our side anymore. In our next class, we're going to drill down and scrape the actual content that we want. But before I end today's class, we're going to do the transformation and add the base links so that what we finally get. So let's do that. Our base URL is going to be, let's see, base URL is going to be this. And then our, what do we call this? Let's say full links. So full links is now going to be base URL plus link for. So what I want to happen when I loop through it for the actual looping, link in links. So if I do that and I try to see my full links, I should have it here. So I have my full links here ready for further processing. Okay. So I'm going to be sharing my notebook with those of you in the class right now. And if I end the class now, I can afford to do that. I have the time to do that. If I keep going, then unfortunately, I won't be able to do that. So I don't know if, let me stop sharing. I don't know if, so, but do we have any questions while I try to do that?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I have a question to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, regarding the tax you are giving to us, so is it this method I want to, or we are going to use to do the tax?
Okay. Do you have like an alternative method in mind?
No, like this thing is totally strange to me. Like, no, anyhow, we'll find a way to do it.
Okay, it's strange. I think it's a practice thing. Like I said, make the documentation your friend. There are quick starts. Just try it out yourself over and over again. There are also, apart from the documentation, because let's be honest, if you're a beginner in something, documentation might be a bit intimidating. So you can always like look at simpler articles, right? that can simplify things for you. So that's one thing to do, right? So just keep trying. You have 2 weeks. I mean, when did it start? On Wednesday, right? So you have like 2 weeks to go through this stuff.
Maybe in our next class, maybe you through the next section we'll more familiarize ourselves with the content on how to do things.
Yes, of course. That's why I want to share this with you guys so that you can walk through what we have for today so that by the next class you're better equipped to follow along with me, right?
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, okay. So I can't even transfer this file. So I'm going to, what I will do right now is I will share this. I'm going to share this from Collab. I don't know, there are restrictions with sharing on the group. So please hang around. It's 3 minutes to the end of the call. Hang around. Let me upload this to Collab and then share the link with you guys. Just make request. I can see 12 participants. Please, if you were not in the class, do not take this link out of the class, right? That's the instruction. So please try your best to abide by the instructions. It's rather unfortunate. This is taking time. You know what? Come to my DM and drop your.
Okay, through Slack.
Yes, can you do that now?
Yes.
To
You should
everyone
drop
that's
what?
on the call, drop your email addresses so that when I share the link, I can verify who is making a request. Do it right away. I only work with the people I have seen.
Okay, we should give it here.
Hello, Ayene.
Yes, I know my time is up.
Yeah.
That's what you want to tell me. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't. I'm having a hard time sharing the link. So I was saying that please drop your email addresses in my personal DM, right? So I'm expecting 12 email addresses from the people that are here, which I have screenshotted now. So please go ahead and drop those so that I can share those things I can grant you access once I drop the link in the Slack channel. Thank you, everybody, and have a lovely day.
Hi. Please, are we supposed to send the our emails here or on Slack?
I think she
Send in a
answered through
DM.
her DM via Slack.
Okay, okay.
Back so that I can confirm. Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.